Um, let's see. Sorry, I like just spoke up. I'm on the West Coast right now, so I'm
Oh, you
um,
are.
adjusting to everything. But so oops. I can't change the tab. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Mm.
Um, I I for the ACC clinical trial,
Yeah.
I I ran statistics on
Uh-huh.
the patients. So like the 23 of them, well, there were 24 total. One of them didn't have a CBC pre-treatment, so 23.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I like calculated their neutrophil lymphocyte ratios. So turquoise is patients with an NLR over 5, and then like the salmon red line are patients with ratios under 5. And
Mm.
I wasn't exactly sure which data to report in the abstract, like what do you think like summarizes the findings here the best? Like at 6 months, like the percentage of people who had progression-free survival, or like the p-value, or like how to report this.
Mm. So at least the pattern is right with the hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
I think because of the sample size, the p-value is not less than 0.05.
Yeah.
Um, but even in this, what we call non-immunogenic tumors, adenoid cystic, it's amazing to see that this pattern still is there. So I think definitely worth reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Jian and Sam and Liam. Uh, yeah, so I think it's worth reporting. I think you don't have to report like a median PFS or 6 months. You just have to say, I mean, this is p-value. You can't really say there's a trend, but at least you could say the survival was superior in patients with NLR less than 5, although not statistically significant. And then you just say p-value. That's it. That's all you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because the graph shows that it's better. You don't have to say any number
Okay.
because the numbers are not, not really showing much
Yeah.
difference. And you can't say there's a trend for if you have, if the p-value has to be very close to 0.05, but it's not even
Mm-hmm.
close. So you can't even say there's a trend, but you can at least say by the raw numbers, they're usually like superior.
Okay. Superior survival.
Yeah.
Uh, and p-value. Okay.
What
Uh,
about overall survival?
yeah. So next is overall
Yeah.
survival. Similar, like no significant p-value, but the same trend of like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll
Yeah. So
describe
I
it the
would
same way.
say same
Yeah.
thing, same thing for
Mhm.
both.
Okay. Sounds good. Um, and then uh
So in the manuscript, maybe cite like a meta-analysis or something that this is a well-validated, NLR ratio
mhm.
in many other tumor types has but not been never been looked at in ACC before. At least to my knowledge, you can look to see if anyone has done it.
Yeah.
Um, I guess ACC we don't treat it with immunotherapy anyway, so I don't think no one looked at it. But
Mhm.
but there's a possibility someone might have looked at it like because even with chemotherapy or any like conventional therapy, this might still have some value.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
And then this is for platelet count. So this one actually did have a p-value less than 0.05.
Mm,
But yeah, a similar or a trend where like patients with lower platelet counts had less progression-free survival.
that's interesting. Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one says, yeah. I mean, so we reported this. Maybe go to. So look for my prior NLR publications. We might have done platelet analysis there. And if there is one you can find, cite that. I definitely remember World Lung. It was a World Lung meeting. IASLC, International Association for Lung Cancer Studies.
Mm-hmm.
Annual meeting. If you go to their website and like abstract search, previous abstract search under my name, you can find that we reported in lung cancer that platelet count did affect or had trend or something affecting survival outcome.
Yeah.
And also there are many papers describing that high platelet is immune suppressatory. So describe that in in a sentence or two, and then in discussion, because we're going to report this finding.
Okay. So like look for that paper to how to describe this finding basically in discussion and result. Okay. Okay. And then yeah, same thing for overall survival, also significant, and yeah, similar trend. And then lastly for neutrophil count, there is a trend for higher neutrophils having less PFS, but should I describe this the same way as the NLR, like
Yeah.
superior
Yeah.
with low neutrophils?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then say, what was the cutoff you used?
I did below median and above median.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why there's 11, not like 23 total.
Okay. Yeah. So lymphocytes is important, but neutrophil is really important.
Okay.
Really important. Yeah. Definitely. Like for NLR site, the paper that kind of summarized NLR, but also for neutrophil, cite a paper that analyzed the key finding with like the absolute neutrophil count or something, not NLR. NLR itself is pretty predictive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, one paper for each of them.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And then cite your ISLC
Abstract.
or
Abstract or paper if
the
I
platelets.
can't remember if that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've published, a few NLR papers, so look at that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And then same thing for overall survival by neutrophil count above below median, same pattern.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah.
So that's what I have for the statistics that I ran for it.
So incorporate that into your abstract.
Mhm.
Very, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with the abstract,
Mhm.
send it to me. Once I approve it, we'll send it to BMS. And then
Yeah.
once they approve it, and all the other authors, then we'll send to AACR, and you'll keep on just writing the full manuscript.
Mhm. Sounds good.
And by the time we, I guess manuscript. So this is the plan. We can still submit the manuscript, and then just to say we're planning to. Well, if we get accepted, we're planning to report our finding in this meeting, and then if they take our manuscript, then they'll do embargo
Okay.
and
Wait,
publish
so
it
wait.
on that day.
Okay. Okay.
What journal did we say we're going to submit?
we didn't discuss the journal or anything like that yet.
Oh, yeah. And then did you look at like NGS and
Mm-hmm.
yeah?
So in the abstract, I like wrote about it in like a sentence here. So there are a lot of
Because it was
like
just 4
mutations and
patients.
stuff,
Okay.
but I try to focus on ones that you described in your paper, and also in other
Yeah,
papers too that have like stuff written about them.
I see.
So this is what I added. So if you wanted to look at that.
Tanggal 22 kan?
Yeah. Okay, I think that's good enough.
Okay.
Blood-based tumor sequence. I would say circulating tumor DNA profile. Circulating tumor DNA. Yeah, sequencing.
Okay. And then this is how I summarized it. But yep, that's what I have for the clinical trial update.
Therapeutic target. I mean, yeah, I think I which is a collection of potential there. I would put potential,
okay.
and then I would just use the sentence for actual conclusion, not in abstract.
So don't put this in abstract.
Yeah, because it's really not the focus of our paper. It's just really like additional thing. And for instance, that MYB fusion is likely to be driver, and we never succeeded in making any therapeutic drugs. So there's nothing, and so
Okay.
yeah, that's why. But overall, good. Just add that, and yeah, let's try to submit that in this week to a BMS. I think you're almost done.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And then,
really close to
and then, are
finishing.
you writing the manuscript? Like,
I'll be writing that over break. I have like the next 2 weeks off, so I'll be
okay,
getting that done.
yeah, just finish it during your break, and yeah, be a good opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Sam, do you have update for us?
Yeah, I can kind of share what I've been doing. Oh,
yeah.
Are you guys all break, or are you still in school?
Yeah, we're on break.
Oh, good.
Dr.
I'm on break too.
Dr.
Yeah.
She has to leave in like 5 minutes, so.
Oh, really? Okay, let's get
Yeah.
her update really quickly. Okay.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
So I hope everyone's doing well. And I think I sent you the link for the hepatitis case report. I will attach that again in this chat. I just want to know like if this whole direction is okay, or is there any like major changes I have to make before anything.
Okay, I'll share the screen here. Okay, delayed hepatitis B reactivation in a metastatic squamous cell lung cancer treated with nivo and ipi. Introduction, case presentation. What's the journal we're aiming for?
We didn't discuss that.
Okay. Some will ask for abstract, some will not, so it will depend. I would start with the JCO-CRR.
Mhm.
That's the case report journal. If they don't take it, then not sure for case reports. So immune checkpoint inhibitors. So was there a case that reported activation on nivo and ipi both?
For both, no. There's a one case developed, the reactivation happened after starting nivo, and then they added EP later on, and it exacerbated the hepatitis even more.
So I would say first case of nivo and ipi combination, I would say the combination of nivo and ipi, stress that, and then, yeah. Say this is the first case. And this looks a little bit like discussion because, but it's a short paper, so let me see this question. Pretty long. So let's leave it for now. So usually introduction is more succinct and just telling you the trend,
Right.
not going into actual like numbers.
Mhm.
That's usually the case. I want you to break down into few paragraphs so that people can read this better. It's a long, big paragraph.
Okay.
Same thing here. So, not even if be. So you can't put any abbreviations, okay? So this is the 9LA regimen. It's called 9LA regimen, and you have to write out the actual dose, and ipi is probably every 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and nivo is every 3 weeks. So I'll write it for you. 9LA is the clinical trial, and it's the regimen, and you cite that regimen later on if, but you don't have to cite it here. let's say repeated. Same thing for everything else. Did you put NGS? No. So first time you use something like NGS, I want you to still write it. Same thing with NED. If you wrote it somewhere before, it's okay. But first time you have to write it out and then put NED. If you're not going to use it again later, you don't have to put any acronym because you're not using it later. Same thing, poorly differentiated. If you didn't use it before, you have to write it out. Non-small cell lung cancer, same thing. You have to write it out first time.
Right.
So just a lot of basic things. So here, LFT increased. So there's no timeline.
Timeline
Meaning Nivo, this is time from start of Nivo AP and then first rise in LFT. And then from detection, and once detected, I guess this was started on, day 10 of, LFT rise. And then I guess you put 1 month after the start. And then viral load became, undetectable or downtrending at what level, at what day what? When did we see response? And then when did it become undetectable? And then when did we resume Nivo IP? Like how many days after tenofovir, or how many days after the first rise of ASD-ALT? So there, I mean, you need very detailed timeline for everything, and that should actually be most of, because everything listed here, everolimus added, everything about it has nothing to do with our topic.
The hepatitis, right? Yeah.
So you could, well, anything about diagnosis and natural history, it's okay, but the liquid biopsy, the treatments can all be very shortened. Patient received this, and so the point is not how we treated the patient. So I would shorten a lot of it.
Right.
Almost like half and half previous history. And then when LFT started to increase, this is what happened. And sort of patient remained asymptomatic. There was no increased fatigue or anything. You didn't talk about any symptoms. I don't remember. That's what I remember, but go back to the notes, see if he had any symptoms.
He did report abdominal pain, and that was chief complaint when he was found to have a LFT of thousands.
Abdominal pain. Okay. And maybe describe a little bit more about it, what kind of pain it was and all that. And when did the pain disappear? Was it after tenofovir? We're interested, or did he still have it? So this is more about the hepatitis symptom, timeline, what was the viral load change? What was the LFT change over time? You can make a graph out of all those numbers over time.
Mhm.
That's what people are interested in.
Right.
So usually occurs in 4%. Our patient was 40 weeks. So write that in the case first. So does the ASCO guideline say what check HBV DNA on every ICI patients?
With the hepatitis B surface antigen positive patients.
So write that then. Only for those patients. So there has been increase in DNA, but then no negative correlation. Can you explain what this means?
Uh, so there are two different things. Like these clinical trials, they only found the hepatitis B DNA increase. I mean, more than one log increase in Asian cohorts. About 9 to 11%, but not to the extent like we saw in our patient. And I just wanted to mention that this hepatitis B flare up, and I mean reactivation, doesn't really necessarily correlate with the immunotherapy response. I guess I just wanted to include these trials because they were the first and maybe the last study included those with the chronic hepatitis B. Like other studies didn't exclude them, include them.
I would put something like, however, however in front of both, and then ICI immunotherapy treatment. No negative correlation of A to B doesn't sound natural. I would say, having reactivation did not affect response to immunotherapy or something. That reads better. And then you say whether treatment response and reactivation have association. or not is not identified. Also, this doesn't read well.
Mhm.
You said it did not affect, and then you said the association is not identified. So I don't understand why you wrote
Right,
it.
I meant more like more studies are required um to make it like a more definite correlation between those two.
But you said it's the first and last study, and I don't know if someone else will do this. So practically, I don't think this is necessary. I don't
Okay.
think we should do more studies. I don't. I don't think as long as you treat hepatitis B, you can
Mhm.
continue treatment. So I don't think it will affect. So I don't believe no more study is necessary to
Mhm.
prove.
Okay.
So this is not necessary. Increasing Treg and hepatitis B rating. Gut liver axis regulation. So are you thinking constipation and gut microbiota change maybe in so I think it's a stretch because this is based on the
It's a
assumption
kind of
that
a long shot.
yeah, constipation causes gut microbiota change. It may not so yeah, I don't think this is necessary.
Okay.
Um Pembro is not a brand name, so it's not capital
Mm.
letter. I would not use plus, but use combination of Pembro and Nivo. Same thing.
Mhm.
What is FAER?
Um, that's that have to look.
I would write out. Again, I would not write slash or plus, but rather say combination of A and B. It is anticipated to rise with more immigrants coming from endemic areas. Okay. this is a good observation. Everolimus
Mhm.
Is very similar to sirolimus. We use sirolimus
Mhm.
for organ transplant rejection prevention.
Right.
So did you, how many, did you say a few cases? How many cases did you find?
Like 5 cases.
I would say 5 cases. So the guideline, make sure checking it is for everybody, but then monitoring the DNA is only for patient with history of
Mhm. Yeah.
FB, right? So make sure
Mhm.
there's a distinction there. So right now it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like
Right.
there's a distinction. Okay. So conclusion is a little short. I would say, let's keep the guidelines. This suggests that checking the baseline and then following DNA is a valid strategy or something. I would write that in conclusion.
Okay.
And then yeah, so Liam, just go over the grammar for her. There's still some sentence that I want to change.
Mhm.
But Liam can help with just the grammar. And I think you're okay to submit. After JCO-CRR, look for lung cancer cases or journals or any case report in oncology. Feel free to
Mhm.
pick anything that you like. I'm open to it. I don't know what case reports are good. So search for it and give me suggestion because there's like 50% chance you'll get into JCO.
Right.
Yeah, so we should have the number 2, 3, 4 like in sequence for the next few journals.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'll make the changes for the content and then let Liam know,
Yeah,
and
let's
then
have
he
him
can
just
make some
proofread it.
changes.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Very good.
All
Good
right.
job. Strong work.
Thank
A lot of
you.
good citations. That was pretty good. Oh, and the graph
Nah.
for the
Oh, the graph. So I was thinking like using the same graph Dr. Liesel Kim made. I made my own graph, but I think hers is like little more like more succinct and also kind of clean.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's better to put it in one graph and with different y-axis with the viral load, AST, and when the tenofovir was started. Yeah, things like that. And when the nivo-ipi was stopped and when it was resumed, all that in one graph. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Uni. Okay, we'll go back to Sam.
Liam, was there anyone else who needed to go?
Oh yeah.
No, that's it. Everybody else is around, so it's okay.
Okay,
Thanks for asking.
sounds good. I'll share my screen really quick. Oop, that's not right. Okay, can everyone see this? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just give a super brief background for people who aren't aware of the project that I'm starting. So basically, this project is going to be looking at whether tumoral infiltrating lymphocytes can be used as a biomarker for response to neoadjuvant therapy in patients with lung cancer. And we're specifically using the algorithm that's been validated by Lunit. So for the past couple weeks, waiting for us to get the patients we're using, I've been doing some chart review and found these two like landmark studies. And so the first is the Checkmate 816 from the New England Journal of Medicine from this year. And it basically showed that there's better outcomes using neoadjuvant Nivo and chemo versus chemo alone with resectable non-small cell lung cancer. So that's kind of where this idea came from. And then I have some of those outcomes listed below. And then there's the paper by Park, which was the validation paper for the Lunitscope IO. And they describe this as an AI-powered spatial TIL analyzer. It basically looks at a whole slide image and then can define 3 immune phenotypes: the inflamed, immune excluded, and immune desert. And then these are correlated with response to ICI and then survival with non-small cell lung cancer. So these are kind of the two major papers that the study's been based off of. And so for our study, for inclusion criteria, I was thinking anyone who's diagnosed with either non-small cell lung cancer or small cell lung cancer, they have to have resectable disease, but they're going to be having surgery to remove the tumor anyway. So that's kind of just basic inclusion criteria. They had to have underwent neoadjuvant therapy followed by surgical resection. And so we kind of talked about this briefly, Dr. Che, but for neoadjuvant, I'm assuming we'd want chemo, ICI plus chemo, ICI alone. And then I know radiation therapy can be considered neoadjuvant therapy, but I don't know if that's really relevant, or we could use it as like a control.
Yeah, we're going to exclude radiation for the sake of analysis. And this practice is not common at all at Northwestern. Some centers like to do chemo plus radiation altogether before surgery, but surgeons hate it because they're, there's a lot of adhesions, all that. So we don't do it here that much. So yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
But if the radiation for some other, some other things, it's fine. If it's radiation to, like, let's say, it's going to be rare, but if it's not the whole, like the tumor field, if it's something, let's say someone gets like a gamma knife for a small spot in the brain, that's something different.
Okay.
Those things you can ask me case by case if you find it. But,
okay, that sounds good. Also, they have to have a surgical sample at NMH to assess the pathologic complete response, which it sounds like from the patient cohort we found, they all had surgery here at NMH, so hopefully that won't be a problem. And then, so in that Checkmate 816 study, they looked at event-free survival, but I think we'll have to see what the patient cohort looks like and when they had their neoadjuvant therapy and surgery to now, to see what kind of like endpoints we can include, to look at things like progression and recurrence after surgery, because I just don't know what that timeline is going to look like, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
So that's something that we can kind of think about more when we look at the patient cohort itself.
So usually I like to have the first scan after surgery
Mhm.
within 3 months. And then every 3 months afterwards, at
Okay.
least for the first 2 years. I don't
Okay.
think most of them are within 2 years.
Okay. So we should be
Yeah.
able to look at the 3-month and 6-month at least follow-up imaging.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So-
I think let's see if there's a 9-month, then
Okay.
yeah, we need to look at it as well.
Okay, that sounds good. So these are then the inclusion criteria.
And then it doesn't have to be resist.
Okay,
It could
like
be
clinical as well.
It could be just any sign of recurrence.
Okay.
So you could, and then you could define it as, because let's say new nodule pops up, if it's too small, they're gonna say of unclear etiology, inflammatory versus recurrent, repeating and CT scan recommended. But some cases are big enough that we would do biopsy and prove it's biopsy proven recurrence.
Mhm.
So we would only call it recurrent. Well, I guess there's two. One is CT scan, usually with CT, and then we do PET. And so imaging is so consistent with recurrence, then we don't even do biopsy. So
Okay.
recurrence, radiographic evidence consistent with recurrent disease is clinical recurrence. But then biopsy proven ones are also recurrent disease.
Mhm.
So we for the definition wise, I would say both. But in description, you would kind of separate. This is defined by radiographic evidence. This is biopsy proven.
Okay.
But both will be composite like recurrence endpoint, and it doesn't have to be defined by RECIST.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
so recurrence can either be biopsy proven or imaging.
Yeah.
Okay.
If imaging is indeterminate, then we don't count that. We
Yeah.
will, yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
Good question.
And then here are some endpoints. Again, I got these from those two kind of like model papers. So for primary endpoints, we already talked about the first would be pathologic complete response. And then the second would be event-free survival. So I think the definition of this is time from randomization to any progression of disease precluding surgery, but that won't apply to us because all of our patients will have hopefully had surgery. And then the other one that I don't think would apply is progression of disease in the absence of surgery. So we'd really be looking at progression or recurrence of disease after surgery, which we just talked about, and then death from any cause. And then the secondary endpoints would be major pathological response and then time to death or distant metastasis.
Wait. Yeah, time to death or distant met, yeah. Event-free survival. So primary endpoint, yeah, yes. I think that's so EFS. Yeah, I mean, this is retrospective analysis anyway, so yeah, I like it.
Okay. So this is kind of a busy slide, but this is
wait,
just
wait. Let's go back. Let's put
Okay.
EFS to secondary to make it very clean. I think it's gonna be clean.
Yeah.
So one of the reason is we don't have like a 5-year survival,
Right.
and then a lot of them will, we're gonna look at how PCR, the pathologic PCR, correlates with EFS. We believe in breast cancer, they've shown very good. Also, so read about this as well. So in breast cancer world, neoadjuvant PCR has been linked very well with EFS. In lung cancer world, the data is not as strong, but there's definitely some data.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just read one review in Breast World, and maybe Dr. Jiyoung Lee can help you.
Okay,
She's a breast surgeon.
yeah,
And then read what any equivalent study in lung cancer field, because that will set the stage for what we find.
yeah,
But short term, TIL and PCR is a very clean, measurable outcome and predictor. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so move event-free survival to secondary endpoint, you're saying? Okay, sounds good. And so this was just going to be what I was going to do for the chart review once I have the patients. Most of it's pretty basic, just general. Under pathology and molecular, I was wondering which genomic variants that we should be considering. Seems like EGFR mutations and ALK translocations are the big
Always
ones that
there,
I've been
yeah.
reading about. I really haven't seen much about BRAF, ROS1, RET, MET, and HER2. So I don't know if those are really necessary to include.
Yeah. So ones that are in NCCN guideline as a frontline therapy, I would all include. So
Okay,
like HER2 mutation, MET, RET, what else is there? I think those are pretty much one.
I think these came
And-
from the NCCN guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would record those at least.
Okay.
TMB, MSI high. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Okay, and then so variables from the index state. So index state would be day 1, cycle 1 of the neoadjuvant therapy. So from that, I would get performance status, cancer stage, TNM stage, kind of baseline labs, white cell, ANC, things like that, and then LDH to calculate Lippi score, which is something I've been reading about. That's shown to be predictive of response to immunotherapy as well. And then for treatments,
and then
we would
for
have
for CBC, yeah. So remember what Richard presented. So look at the same thing: neutrophil count, NLR, and platelet count.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then for treatments, we would want the neoadjuvant regimen, the exact regimen they were on, and then the most recent CT before that index date, the most recent tissue biopsy before that index date. And then I was curious, how much information should we collect on treatments done before the neoadjuvant therapy and then after the neoadjuvant therapy? Is that something we would want lots of detail on?
I don't think you need much. Yeah, before start of therapy, after start of therapy, and I guess RECIST. We need RECIST for both.
Yeah.
So whether it's leading to, we need radiographic PR, CR, or SD, or PD, right? So
yeah,
that's all you need. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And then I also had liver mets and brain mets at tissue harvest and during treatment. I think that the studies have shown those are also predictive of ICI response. So I'll collect those as well. And then for outcomes, I listed basically everything we talked about: pathologic complete response, progression per RECIST, or clinical progression, then recurrence, and then different immune adverse effects.
Yes. So liver brain mets may not be relevant because we're all curative intent. I think lung and chest only patients. So yeah. I think for our study, it's not going to be relevant. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
And for IAE, I would
Mhm.
do your best to grade those. You can read, how they are graded. They're all
Yeah.
internet. Yeah. So
Okay.
just look at the chart and see, if you can grade it. If you can't grade it, then I mean, use your common sense. It's asymptomatic, it's grade 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so
Um,
these are my suggestions.
yeah, that's reference.
So this is just kind of a to-dos list. So for
Yeah.
this study, it sounds like you talked to Dr. Barat and he's on board with using that patient list.
Yeah, I sent him another reminder. He said he'll send. Actually, I think he's very
Okay.
busy.
Okay, that's okay. I'll expect it, I guess, over after the holidays. So something else I was considering, because I know that there's been problems getting the slides scanned and
Yeah.
obtained, stuff like that, is there is a pilot grant that you can use for the pathology core, and I think it's like $2,500 where they'll be able to collect and slides and things like that. So once we have more data on the actual patients themselves and how many we'll be including, I can actually apply for that grant. Someone through the medical school said it's pretty easy to get. And that might make things easier.
Yeah, maybe it's under official program. They might treat this a bit different.
Yeah, that's student privileges, I guess.
Yeah. Apply to anything that you can apply to.
Okay.
Definitely.
And then
and I know
oh,
Bharat's gonna give us the result. But so this is for the like Bharat says Mary is only working on transplant projects, not lung cancer projects. So he said Mary wouldn't know, but maybe Liam, on your end, maybe you can ask some, I don't know, whoever you've been contact in thoracic surgery department, to kind of ask that question, like who would be in charge of, thoracic surgery bank that knows, like a lung cancer registry or something. Maybe do your own research. Maybe there's gotta be someone who knows the list.
I had reached out to Mary. I'll have to go back and look because I think she did give me a name, but it wasn't Dr. Barat. When we're done with this, I can go back and look and see who that was.
Yeah. CC me and Liam on that communication and ask again, and maybe you said Dr. Barat, just like use Dr. Barat, and Dr. Barat endorsed this project, and we're still trying to find ways to get the list so that we can start working on it or something.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So we'll keep working on that. Hopefully get the list soon.
And then IRB should be covering this, like the existing lung retrospective study.
Yeah.
Liam, what do you think? It should be covering, right? And then biomarker, TIL is biomarker. We're not like getting the tissue, we're just scanning it. So it's considered just the existing biomarker. Maybe in the IRB protocol, make sure you add Sam as a study personnel, maybe, if we need to, or if you don't, for retrospect study, I think we can, right?
Yeah. I can add her. I've added Richard to our studies.
Yeah. So.
Okay, that sounds good. So the other things I've been working on, so I modified the AI in silico tools paper that me and Eugene were working on. So I did reach out to the journal, and I guess there was like a 90-day period where nothing happened with it. So I had to actually resubmit it manually, which is fine. So it's ready to go. I just didn't know, did you have a suggestion for 3 reviewers to look at the paper, or should I just find people in the field who seem like...
So do you need them? Like,
what's that?
you need, it's mandatory or?
Yeah, it said to suggest at least 3 reviewers.
In the field? Okay. So, I'll put their names in the chat box right now.
Okay.
So Liam, help find email address, because you have to put an email address for this. So Daniel Shin at UCLA, he's a lung cancer expert. And then at least 3. You could put Ki Park at Memorial Sloan Kettering, MSK. He's published a lot of lung cancer papers. Lung cancer, DNA variants. Zolkerdrop. One more. Variants. DNA variant, so I have to I'll think about it. It has to be at least 3, you say?
Yeah.
A lot.
Sam, do you know if it has to be in lung, like if they have to be lung cancer specialists, or can they just be like hemonc?
It didn't say like any specifics. It just said 3 suggested reviewers. So I think it could be anyone in hemonc.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Cho. At Georgetown. And I'll have to find he's a thoracic medical oncologist, Georgetown, who can understand this topic.
Okay.
Yeah, Liam, look for email addresses of the other 2. George, here, I found his email. Chol.kim at GUNET Georgetown. Edu. Okay. Let's work with that.
Okay, perfect. That's okay. And then the only other last thing was I have a form just for the school, just acknowledging that I'm doing research. I'd sent it to Leslie previously. Do you want me to just send it to her? Or do you want me to send it to you directly?
Is it just something to sign?
Yeah,
Yeah, CC me and send it to her directly that Dr. Che
okay,
said he will sign it and then she'll sign like electronically.
okay.
I found Ungi Park's one too for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just in case. Daniel Shin, I found too. The SSN. Liam, why don't you just make a file of their contact address and so that we can go back to them in case something else is needed for other journals or for other projects. So for 3 of them, just combine it and make them maybe like add that into Manager, SOP, Google Doc or something, so we
Sure.
can refer to it later.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Glad you
Okay.
asked.
That's all I have.
Good. So, yeah, that lung cancer variant is all written, right? It's like, was
Yeah,
there a
it's
comment to change something?
no, because it was always just it's not within the scope of the journal. So there was never actually
Oh, okay.
like things to change.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So, do you have the ID password for that journal or?
Yeah. So I basically got everywhere up to the point of submitting. I just needed those 3 reviewer names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then just go in and check every couple of weeks, make sure they're, sometimes they send right
Yeah.
back and I mean, you know the whole drill, so. All right, very good. Are you
Thank you.
enjoying your time out? When are you coming back?
I'll probably be back next Tuesday because I'm doing a radiology elective. So I'll be back
Next
for a month.
Tuesday. Wow. Okay. So that's an elective for 1 month?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, radiology. I mean, like the resist and so Liam, this project is a good project to use what we, talked about with Dr. Kim at Asan, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, once we get familiar with it, have them be involved, and we have a great platform that we are partnering with very easy to do resist, and they calculate everything for you. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, so at some point, once it's set up, Sam, you can come and learn that from Liam in my lab.
Okay. That sounds great.
Okay, great, Sam. We'll move on to Arnie. Do you have update?
Hi, Dr. Che. Yeah,
Hey.
I'm in the browser. So yeah, I can show you some, but this is just like it hasn't been proofread yet. So I don't want to like kind of you read it one by one, but I want to show you the progress, at least what we made with Gion and this past week. I'm quite sure that we can make it before January. I because the flu and everything, I cannot meet Gion like often this week, but overall, I want to share my screen now.
Okay.
Mm. Okay, so can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the introductions, I just want to show you like really fast about what we get. For the introduction part, I already make it. Also, it's already made finished, and later it will be like proofread first before I show it to you. Also for the material and Methods is also already done by Eugene. For methods, it's already done by Eugene and statistical analysis, and the result also. And for the discussion, I already make it almost 1 page. And my plan is like by this week or by next week, I finish all the discussion part and get proofread by Riam before I show it to you. I think that's all I can say for the progress by this week. Also, Gion, do you are you there? Did you remember our discussion yesterday?
It's Dr. Jian.
She's not
Oh,
in the.
oh, she's not here. So, Dr. Che, one thing that I want to make sure with you before we kind of move forward with the discussion, we at the end we decided that we doesn't want to redefine the definitions, right? We just will explain everything we get, but we won't redefine any definitions, right, for this project. Because if we want to redefine, I think we need to change the title.
So if I remember correctly, when we used our new definition of adding new lesions in the resist measurement, that did not change anything in terms of better prediction or better linkage to survival outcome. So I think that's what Nai said. I mean, it doesn't make sense to pursue that. However, it's still, so you don't have to show the graph that shows that the new definition didn't change much in overall prognosis, survival outcome prediction, but it's still worthwhile to show the basic statistics. So if we define it this way, then how would the progression, hyperprogression incident change? And because we will still show that utilizing the new way of assessing hyperprogression, meaning including the new lesion, will better or accurately capture those patients who are undergoing hyperprogression. But I think the difference is, the question we'll get is who is actually having pseudo progression. So for that, we need a confirmation scan to show that, you know, it is validated with the next scan. If the next scan shows that everything is shrinking again, it is pseudo progression. And I do believe we've looked at every single case of our study and
we
found
don't get it.
that we didn't have pseudo progression. But for our suggested definition, new definition wise, we will say we do need a confirmation scan to make sure it is not pseudo progression. We will suggest that. So we'll be suggesting that still this is a better way to assess hyperprogression. We're not going to focus on the predictive value of this new method because we haven't shown that it is a superior predictive model, but we will say very briefly, like one sentence in the outcome, that we did look at it, and then it did not, or it showed correlation with survival. This is the p-value or something. We have to say we looked at it and maybe add that figure in the supplemental figure. But we're not going to say, hey, let's use this. This is a new definition. So I think the wording has to be a little bit strategic here. We're going to say to better or accurately assess the landscape of hyperprogression, we came up with our new hyperprogression definition utilizing the new method of incorporating new lesion into the RECIST measurement. So I think we are describing it. I think we are showing the statistics, everything. So we'll be doing it. So I think it's okay to leave the title.
Okay.
But we're not gonna
Amen.
say let's change our, I think we're just gonna be very cautious. This is what we saw. This may be a better way to assess. So just tone down.
Okay, I think I get the idea of the purpose. And yeah, my target by the next lab meeting, I will show you the full manuscript with all the discussion, because the progress is pretty well since I came here. So yeah.
So where is the target journal?
I haven't tried to find it. I will talk with if there is any suggestions after this.
Liam, did we ever discuss? Do you remember?
No, not that I can recall for this one.
Okay. In the method, in the abstract, in the method, Champia, Sadabuzid, and Ferrara, I would not write that. We measured the same thing, TGR, TGK. You cannot write it out. People will not know what it is. You have to. So just follow the basic rules. If you're using it for the first time, write it out. If you're gonna use it again, put the acronym. Okay.
Yes. Yes, Dr. Chen.
Don't assume that they know everything. Just assume that people who do not know what hyperprogression is going to read this paper. Okay. As defined by we measured with teacher TGK to define. I would say we utilized hyperprogression. We utilized 3 different definitions of hyperprogression by measuring RECIST, TGR, TGK, and then open parenthesis, you put Sadabuzid, Ferrara, Champiad, in as as like a reference. So here in the reference, you don't have to put like a reference number 1, 2, 3. I think people may be interested in knowing what that method is. So you can put actual names of the author there. Yeah.
We'll make sure after this, just give me a little bit for the discussion and proofread it before it's showing to you. And after that, maybe we can discuss where is the journal, the targeted journal to publish this, Dr. Che. We'll try my
Okay.
best.
Okay. So when you present, I want sentences to be publication quality, run by Jian, Eugene, and have Liam proofread it for you. And then the graph, table, everything has to be publishable quality. Let's choose a target journal so that you can format that all into that journal requirement. I'll go down to the conclusion. So including new lesions in the assessment led to an increase. It's not of for all 3 definitions, and FFPD was progression and mortality after adjusting confounding factors. So I think in real world clinic, I think number 1, it's the incident. In conclusion, you have to write the incidents and how incident varied by 3 definition. Okay. There's no mention of that in conclusion. That is the key. Go to the title. So in conclusion, you have to write, what is the incident in my clinic? And then what are, so redefine, and I guess redefining means, current definitions are all limited, and then we might need something else to better describe the landscape. So incidents, clinical implication is, does that correlate with disease progression and survival? And then risk factors. What are the risk factors that were found? So I would very briefly summarize that first and say that's the first sentence, and the second sentence would be that the incidents varied by different definitions, and the third sentence is with new definition that we're proposing, this is what happened, and then would just end by saying that we would need a newer way to assess hyperprogression, accurately predict hyperprogression.
I will revise it as you suggest, as you advise, Dr. Che.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Very
Che.
good.
We will make sure in January, the next step meeting, it's almost complete because the discussion day by day is progressing. So thank you so much, Dr. Che.
Okay. Journal JCO is going to be tough. Hyperprogression. So how many cases? 120?
121. 121, but for the the regimen 141. But from the total patient 121.
Hmm. Let's aim for the oncologist.
Okay, Dr. Sir.
Yeah, let's aim for the journal The Oncologist. I think you can do that one. All right. Anything else?
I think that's all because yeah, I think that's all the thing that I can update to you.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Good job. I think. Do you know if Dr. Cheon is going to come back or?
Yeah, she said she's like
On the way.
walking to the lab.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the Gauter. So yeah, I think I will meet her also in the lab and discuss more.
Yeah, Liam, maybe you can go over our projects.
Yeah, so nothing major to like show you or update you on since Monday. But since our last lab meeting, I was able to update or submit the modification of the double lung transplant protocol to the NU IRB, and then we submitted the study to clinicaltrials.gov. We submitted that on Monday evening, so they said 2 to 5 days. I'll follow up on that and see when they make it public.
Okay. Did you meet with Dr. Alex?
Oh yeah, so I met with Dr. Alex yesterday, got the slides, and then dropped it off at Dr. Lee Cooper's. The plan is to go back there today to basically take them back to Dr. Alex.
After they scan it? Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe talk to the lab people to like streamline how do you get the image from them in,
Yeah, I
the
was
scanned image. Yeah.
oh, like how we are going to get it from them. Okay.
Yeah, because the last time he uploaded to the NU web cloud.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure there's a streamlined process for that, and then I think they scan it like. Do you remember how they identified it, or?
No, it wasn't. So if we went into their files that they uploaded, it's kind of like embedded in there. So we do have to.
So we did that for a prior Lunit project, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So yeah, just put that all in your SOP so that it's all kind of, because we'll be doing it for Sam's project and all that. So we'll yeah.
Okay.
Did Dr. Alex tell you anything about why? I know Dr. Yusuf Kim gave him like 40 something and he only found 14. So he didn't say anything?
No, he just told me not to lose them.
Yeah. It's so hard. I mean, like we identify patients and then there's only few that he could find. So there's some discrepancy. It's making everyone frustrated. And the more number, the better, but we'll see. But anyway, yeah, so the plan is keep that 14 image, get it, and then keep it in our web drive. And Dr. Isu Kim is gonna look for maybe another 40 more, something like that. And then once he gets the list, we give it to Alex, and Alex gets the slide, and you do the same thing one more time. Same
Sure.
thing with Sam's project. We identify patients, we ask for slides. For Sam's project, I think PCR is something we have to trust, like pathologists. So it will be just a diagnostic TIL. Yeah, diagnostic. So it's like, you know, one slide for everybody. So, but here's the thing, this is relevant for you, Sam. Sometimes they do EBUS and they have biopsy from, let's say, main tumor, and then they have biopsy from, let's say, subcarinal and hilar and all that. So you need to know that to plan what kind of chemo we're gonna do. So we'll get all the slides, like not just one from tumor. So we'll all get that. And, you know, because, oh yeah, the other one is, we think PD-L1 may be still important. The data says it may not be, but still, it's something that we did for everyone anyway. And then PD-L1 can be stained in tumor cells and immune cells. And our pathologist, as well as Tempus, there's a Tempus report. So both record both. They will record, you know, on a tumor cell, immune cell, the combined score, all that. So record all that. But when we request slides, let's request HNE, as well as the PD-L1 slide, because no, I think we'll be able to use AI to better quantify PD-L1 expression versus like a pathology human eye defined, you know, percentage. And the question is, you know, if you look, the Park JCO paper says both HNE and PD-L1 were predictive. And if you combine it, it's better. So they did, remember, like a 4x4, a 2x2, that's the 4-graph approach. And we can kind of do similar things. Is it better? Is PD-L1 adding any value? So that's so we'll get all that slide scanned. Once we identify the date and the sample number, all that, we'll give that to pathology and do that. So good. Liam, anything else?
No, and no, not for today. I'm just going to help with the updating of the manuscripts and the abstracts, and then yeah, I should be able to show that to you at our next lab meeting.
Okay. Yeah. So next lab meeting, I think we can still do it next week. Whatever you guys do, I'll happy to look at it. So I'm actually going to be home whole next week. So yeah, let's do it same time, 28th. Same time. 28th, yeah, 7 to 9:30. So yeah, let's plan for the next meeting and kind of go through whatever you guys have done. And Sam, I think because we're gonna get the slide, we're gonna get this rolling. You can, start writing the introduction, whatever you can, like, keep reading. Yeah. Okay. Liam, what happened to the budget of the external collaborator fees and all that?
Yeah, so like I said, I had a meeting with Hugh on Thursday. He said he was going to send it to us by Friday. He did not. So I sent him a reminder email on Monday, but haven't heard back yet. So I'm just waiting
Okay.
for his response.
And my PI research fund chart string, Leslie should have it. So have that chart string ready so that you can give it to Hugh.
Oh, okay. I thought I
have it?
wasn't sure. I just don't know, but I assumed he would have it since he's the finance guy. But I can
He may have it, he may not have it.
sure. I mean, I can get it to him, no problem.
Yeah, but Leslie has it. So yeah, and then keep asking Christine Miller for volunteer and all that. So you know the plan for that.
Yeah, I sent out that email to Christine.
Okay. And then we really need to finalize the biomarker. So company.
I don't know what so the major holdup is some of these companies, like their legal team is just really backed up and slow, and that's kind of out of our hands.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we
just keep pushing it every week, and at some point we're gonna just tell them if we don't hear back, it's hard to wait anymore than, let's say, two more weeks or something. And I know it's holiday, but we've been waiting forever. So yeah, just keep pushing, CC me, and yeah. But otherwise, if they commit and we do MTA, we can start enrolling patients, right?
Yeah.
Like, make sure that the lab protocol, we know exactly what to do when we draw blood, how much blood we're drawing for each cohort, and where is it going to, and what is going to. So I know we have a protocol for each company, but if they're gonna likely commit, like, why don't you make like a lab appendix for our IRB protocol. Appendix doesn't have to be uploaded. It's there for PathCore person so that they know exactly like what to do. So it's more like an instruction for them. Why don't you just make instruction for them for each company? Like, this sample will go there, and then this will be all stored. This has to be spinned. Just make that kind of manual. Yeah, because assuming that most of them will be approved to save time.
Yeah, so I have been collecting those for the companies that have sent it already, the ones that are still working on it. Same with the MTA. I'm just pestering them to send it to us. And once we have all of the manuals sent from the companies, I was gonna have another sit down meeting with Lauren, the manager of the PathCore.
Yeah.
Kind of hash out the details with her so that we can
Mhm.
go from the whole blood that we're collecting to the individual like aliquots that we need to separately ship out to the companies, either real time or batch. Most of them are electing to a batch shipment, which is easier, but the samples have to be processed in real time on
Yes.
Lattice. So yeah,
Yes.
I plan on just having another sit down meeting so we can, hash out all the details in a way that it's effective and efficient for the Path Core to work with in terms of their workflow. And then we also have to, because we are also collecting and sending out tissue samples like slides, apparently we have to get like the Path department approval. So again, we'll do that once we get all the companies' MTAs and lab manuals.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And remember the staffs in Garden were, and Tempest. The whole idea is to get the raw data on the web cloud somewhere so that we can analyze it ourselves.
Yeah.
How is that moving?
Yeah, so we communicated with Tempest and Stas. His login is still working, so he should be able to have access. They said on their end they've pushed all of the information that they have for our patients. So I think it's just a matter of Stas logging in and accessing the data and doing the analysis.
Okay. Maybe can you get your ID password so that you know how to access it? How about that? Because Dr. Haesung Kim is joining and I want her to start working on it. And Dr. Cheon, you can mentor her. It's exploring the Tempest data and analyzing it.
Would it be better?
I know Stats is going to be doing more heterogeneity analysis, but for basic ones, yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to get credentials, or should we just get Dr. Haesung Kim the logins?
I think start with yours first. And then what Haesung Kim, because you have the NU or email, so I think we have MOU with NU, so I don't think Haesung Kim will get the NU email soon. So
okay.
So yeah, I think you needed to understand the structure of where's the DNA data, where's the RNA data, how do you extract them? Maybe learn from stats first, but some things that are not clear, talk to Tempest. I think we want to understand the structure of the data and how to extract what we want and all that. So that we can teach that to Dr. Haesung.
Okay. Maybe I can set up a meeting with Stas.
Yeah,
with Dr. Haesung Kim when she comes here too.
yes. And the Garden is tricky because Garden gave data to our stat center or some, and then we're supposed to get it from them, right?
Okay.
So Firas is the guy who runs these type of, he's like the data manager. He's like the PhD, but he's like more informatics guy. So email him, CC me, and find out how we can access now, like the Garden raw data. And Garden, gave us permission. This is his name, Firas, Dr. Firas. and you should be able to find his email, but I think I
we-
have it here.
Dr. Chip, so we emailed him like 6 months ago.
Uh-huh.
No reply. I even like sent him a reminder.
Let me move. Yeah, so what did
Yeah, so we had sent Dr. Firas an email or like 6 months ago when we kind of first started talking about this project more concretely. And we haven't heard from him since. And I've even sent him reminder emails. So I don't know if he is active or I don't know what to do basically. Oh, Dr. Che, you're muted.
send him one more email and let's try to
Okay.
nail him down or whatever. And I found another person working with him, so I'll give you his contact so that you can reach out to him
Mhm.
and ask the question. I think we have to. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Oh, anything else, Liam?
No, that's it from me for today.
Yeah, Sophia's email I found. I think if this is what you had, that's the Northwestern, that's the EDU email. Northwestern EDU. So try that one more time. The other person that I found. How about Seed? Yeah. I have to find, it's not coming up. Okay. All right, let's go to Dr. Jian.
Yes, I will share my screen. I'm sorry for my voice changing. So this is for today about the double lung transplantation. Brief communication is almost done, and still we're waiting the international registry reply and Professor Ankis the second feedback. It didn't give me yet.
Mm.
And as soon as I get, I will submit to General of Heart and Lung Transplantation. But the problem is I sent the email to this registry last week, but nobody answered. And I don't know, still, I need to keep waiting.
Yeah, just keep sending it every couple of days. They need to respond. I can't wait
Alright.
forever. Yeah.
Okay, I will. And the second one is a review article. And the manuscript is almost done. I'm still waiting the Dr. Sam's part. And I want to ask to you, because this review article is changed as a comprehensive review, not systemic review. Do I need to
Right.
still use this flow chart?
Yeah.
Okay, I will make it.
Mhm.
And the figure 2 would be this the history of the lung transplantation. And figure 3 would be this illustrator. And it's almost done. And I just want to make the arrows more balanced. And I think it's fine. And this one, because Journal of Thoracic Oncology as a review article, we can submit only 6 figure or table. So if I use 4 figures, then I can use only 2 tables. I think it's fine, but why don't we use this about incidence of lung cancer after lung transplantation as a supplementary figure? What do you think?
Cumulative after.
Yeah. Actually, I couldn't make it figure B yet, so it was not easy because the patient's number was more than 40,000. So I asked to biostatistician and he will make it.
Oh, so what A is overall survival? What was B?
B was a cumulative incidence of lung cancer after lung transplantation. That
Oh,
should,
so that was B. Okay.
yes. Yeah.
And then we don't know if that lung cancer is like recurrent or something else that happened,
We don't know.
another primary. We don't know.
Yeah.
What was our figure 1? Let's go back.
Flow chart.
Oh, okay. Okay. So is this the only survival graph?
Yes, in here, because this is a review article and I used the pooled data. I used it in the brief communication. So I thought I can't duplicate.
Oh, okay. Because you used it. Okay.
So I try to use the published data, which came from UNOS and International Registry as well. Only published, not get from each registry.
I see. So this graph is different than in brief communication. I'm trying to compare
Yes,
those
different. Yes, brief communication. We couldn't use this one. Oh, this graph is also came from the data from each registry. Can we use it?
Each
then-
registry?
Yes. What we asked. If we use this graph, then maybe we need to send them again to get some review feedback before submission.
Yeah, because we're using their raw data.
Yes.
Even if it's supplemental figure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is such a valuable data. I feel like it has to be regular figure. People want to know.
Okay. Why don't you make another paper? A third
What do
one?
you mean? About just this figure AB?
No, we can get other data from each registry because we have pooled data, but we just only extracted the double lung transplantation, but still we have it. So if you want to write about the instance of lung cancer after lung transplantation, maybe we can make it.
So I'm just trying to figure. So in the brief communication, we did not mention lung
We didn't.
cancer. We did not.
We didn't.
Hmm.
Lung cancer after transplantation, we did.
But shouldn't we mention it there as well? What is the reason we haven't mentioned?
Because it was not the focus of that article. It was just the focus on the double lung transplantation for lung cancer.
Mm.
But this is so different. Because this lung cancer occurred after transplantation.
Right, but I think the first brief communication, they would still be interested
Okay.
in knowing, you know,
Mhm.
will you have second cancer afterwards?
Okay.
I think that makes more sense than doing a new. I know it's a brief communication, but I know it's a overall survival. We did survive, just a survival.
Mhm.
Did we do all malignancy, right?
Yeah.
In the brief communication, there was a
All malignant.
cancer,
Yes.
all malignancy.
Mhm.
But you're saying this is lung cancer? Just lung cancer?
No. In brief communication, we use only lung cancer as an indication of lung transplantation. But this graph
Right.
is lung cancer, which occurred after transplantation.
Right. And after transplantation, that has not been done so this indication for double lung is everything,
Mhm.
right? Everything. So let me ask you this. So for the brief communication, we're only looking at patients who did double lung for lung cancer.
Yes.
Do we have this similar graph for that specific population, incidence of lung cancer?
Yeah, this is the graph. Because of the limitation of figures and tables. If I remember, we can use only 3. So I combined all of the graphs in one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there would be more space to submit.
So explain each one. It's overall survival. I can't, because what AB is overall survival.
No,
No.
actually A is about UNOS registry data.
Mm-hmm.
And A is about the overall survivor between lung cancer and non-cancer disease. And B is cancer-specific survivor, overall survivor in UNOS data.
Okay, okay.
Yes, CD is international registry data, and C is also overall, and D is cancer-specific versus overall. And EF is pooled data from each case series. And because we had data about the recurrence, so I made graph E as the recurrence for survivor, and F is also cancer specific versus overall survivor.
Hmm. So for UNOS and international registry, do you have both lung cancer incidence?
As I remember, we don't have it in UNOS data, but I will double check because Jisang has the whole data and we can extract only with this data. So we need to figure out.
So lung cancer incidence after, I guess, and lung cancer incidence after transplant for both groups. Lung cancer indication, non-lung cancer indication transplant can be reported here. I think it makes more sense to be reported here.
Oh, okay.
And then you
But
can make
only
that.
describe, or do you want to use that graph? It wouldn't be more
Only-
space. We can
you have
submit
an
only
internet-
3.
Only 3?
Yes, I have already 2 tables, so I just combined all in one figure. So I
Yeah,
get,
so do that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F.
Oh,
E, G, H.
all right.
Yeah, just
Okay.
edit here. It's fine.
all right, okay.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, so yeah, I think it makes sense to, because it's a new data you're reporting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I guess what's show me that graph again.
Mhm.
And B, I know you're making A, you made it. But not this graph, but the supplemental 1A.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, hi, Eugene. Okay. So this is just the similar. So post-transplant malignancy, no post. Okay. So this graph was not there in brief communication, but I think it's worthwhile to report as well.
Mm.
This one, A.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's report this as well.
I thought that this kind of a graph, how do you think? The cumulative incidence.
Cumulative, yeah.
This
Yeah,
design.
for B, right?
Yes,
For-
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I like
Okay.
it.
I will make it.
And then for 2 different groups, right?
Mhm,
Lung
mhm.
cancer indication, non-lung cancer indication. Yeah, I like that. So let's move all that graphs
Alright.
to the brief communication. And
Mhm.
once you add it, just run it by me and then get one more time.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be okay. And then take it out from here because this is purely review. However, what you can do is because we submitted abstract, right? So I think it will be AACR, right? Abstract to
Yes,
AACR.
but it was about the only use of a cardiopulmonary bypass,
Oh, okay.
which was related to recurrence-free survivor.
Yeah. We have lung. So whatever you, so other than CVP, well, whatever we find from these survival analysis, like outcome,
No.
you can make, yeah, we can still submit that in for the next meeting coming up. So the next one coming up is the Singapore one. There's a world lung cancer. World lung coming up. So same thing, Liam, prepare like trial in progress for world lung as well. World lung. I think it's next year, September. But the abstract deadline is somewhere in spring.
Okay.
So, yeah, anything we're writing in the paper except the CBP, CPB, then write that as an abstract so that people would, we can present that. And I'm going anyway, so you can write abstract for that. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Can I move on next project? So
Yep.
next project is the ctDNA in HER2-positive breast cancer with a cohort 1. So samples already reached out to Predicin, and there is one big problem about tissue samples. There were actually 27, but the 26 patients, I had 2 pairs of study sample, and one was stored in pathology department, and one was stored in my lab. And this was frozen in my lab. And in pathology department, they made a parfum block. And in this time, Nora made some small curls from the parfum block. But the problem is our Korean lab members froze that. So Predicin told me that with the frozen tissue, any of them, they can't make H&E fly. So they asked one more course, but the problem is the cancer is not remained anymore in parfum block.
Frozen tissue cannot be useful in making it.
Yes, I didn't know that actually. And even Nora didn't told me. And one more issue is they said that tissue angles would be better using frozen tissue. So they asked one frozen tissue, which is stored in my lab. Do I need to, or just using parfum block, even if it is a frozen?
Well, it may be better, but they can still use FFPE for NGS. So let them still use it. It's valuable sample. But how do we troubleshoot? How do we make H&E then?
Well, there is no problem in analysis in blood samples, but the problem is the tissue, which was we wanted to come up with the LUNIT study. So
what do you suggest? Can you look into it? Maybe ask Nora and some pathologists. And is it 100% impossible? Like, I think if you saw it, would frozen it make it structure distorted or something?
Oh, well, I asked Nora, but she said there was a really small amount of cancer at the first time. So maybe even if she make it, but there wouldn't be much cancer in that second curve.
Mm. So is it, like, let's understand why we cannot make an H&E slide. If you saw, you slice to make H&E, let's say some of the structures may be a little bit distorted, whatever that is. Would that affect the Lunit scope? Like, we're measuring like the lymph nodes.
Mhm.
And if we believe, and then run this by Lunit as well, like, if you freeze
Mhm.
FFP, then make H&E, do you think how badly would it affect Lunit scope
Okay.
score?
Mhm.
All that, like, if they said like, I don't think there's much issue, whatever, they have their own pathologist and they can do consultation there too.
Oh, okay.
And if Lunit said okay, like, you just need to thaw it and slice it and make it, it's still okay, or whatever. I think we have to be involved in this
Oh, okay.
troubleshoot.
Thank you.
And plan B, if we find out 100% we cannot do it, it's not reliable or whatever, then I think maybe we have to find a way to, because you have a H&E slide from pathology department, right? From the first diagnosis.
Yes, I think so.
So
But I'm not sure I can get it.
So that's the only way to get it
Mhm.
scanned or something, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the plan B is, I know it's the path department thing, but if you can kind of retrieve the slide for just one day, the
Mhm.
best, I would say the best way is to have one of your fellow go in and scan it and come back or something.
Yeah. I don't know why Nora is not happy in this stage, so I couldn't ask her much. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
but
but
I will.
let's troubleshoot first. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I will. And the second, the second court, our lab team still finding the samples, and Delphi study is confirmed, I guess. We will do it. But about the Precumix company, Intervan and Bertis, they were not interested in this study. And still we're waiting Biodesic's answer. Didn't get yet.
So yeah, follow with Liam. Liam, just follow up every week to see where we are. We don't want Deb to drop out. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have today.
Okay.
Hello, I just joined. Sorry for being late.
It's okay. Give us brief update.
Okay. So for me, currently I'm working on the hyperprogression manuscript, and I think I finished the result and method part and preparing all the figures and tables. So if you could just go over it, that would be great. Can I share them?
Share the link.
Eugene.
Do you have a link?
Eugene, I changed the name to manuscript, update it.
Yes,
Manuscript
I found
updated.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So Dr. J, we are working on the manuscript like together. So Arnie is working on the introduction and discussion part, and I'm mostly focusing on the rest of the part. And yeah, I'll share my screen. Oh, do you want me to send you the link itself rather than just sharing my screen? Maybe that would be better.
Do you have a
Um,
link? Yeah.
Yes, so this is the link for the manuscript itself, and then I'll share the other one for the figure and tables.
Okay, you see it?
Yes, so you can just start from the method part, I think.
Method? Okay,
Yes,
okay.
from here.
So you're gonna put all the citations here,
Okay,
or did
okay.
you look? Did you use it somewhere else? No.
I think in the introduction we kind of cited all the different papers for each like definition, but I will definitely cite again.
So you need to put reference here and in the method as well. So keep putting the right reference.
Okay.
So I think in here, because we said, we have come up with a way to use new lesion in the RECIST score. So I think we have to describe it here as well. That's what we did.
I think I just did it the upper part, like the among patients with HPD, a CT scan after. And yeah, we noticed new lesions are not evaluated quantitatively, that therefore we included all measurable lesions in calculating.
So we noticed does not make any sense.
Okay.
It's not like we discovered that the new lesions are not in
It's
RECIST.
just fact.
That it's just a fact. So
Right.
you shouldn't write it this way. And this doesn't make it clear that if you read this, oh, are you guys not using RECIST? What are you guys doing? So if you write it this way, this is very unclear what we did. It makes reviewers very confused. So we used exactly what 3 different definitions have used. In addition, we have come up with a modified version of assessing hyperprogression, utilizing the new lesions or incorporating the new lesions into the RECIST measurement of when we evaluated scans on therapy. Okay. So make sure they understand that we did our own analysis, utilizing our own version of definition. Yeah, so that's not really clear when you describe it.
Okay.
What does this mean?
So it means that so we classified patients having CR, PR, SD, and PD only based on the RECIST evaluation. And then also we calculated TGK and our other like factors, and we define hyperprogression when the patient's satisfied with that criteria. So basically I think my understanding is we evaluated response to immunotherapy in two ways. Like firstly, we try to look at whether they have PD or CR based on only imaging findings. And then also we looked at whether they have hyperprogression based on each different definition. That includes.
So I think this is very redundant. You explained all the hyperprogression up here. So this is like one sentence you can say. Response to immunotherapy was evaluated according to RECIST 1.1 and according to the different definitions of hyperprogression discussed above, period. That will explain everything that you're describing. Okay. It's not even however doesn't make sense. So that one sentence is good enough. And I don't even know that one sentence deserves a one paragraph for the response. And I don't know what's different from immunotherapy response and therapeutic effect.
Okay.
So that could be all in one therapeutic effect response to immunotherapy.
Yeah, we can combine two.
Combined.
Okay.
So the best way is there's a lot of redundancy when you try to explain things. So read other articles and see what they wrote in methods. Okay, you have to be much more succinct. So if you have to cut things, all these things are very much standard. So to a point where you don't really have to write about it. But you can put all of them to supplemental method if you have to cut it down for any journal purpose.
Okay.
I don't know why you said consequently.
So like, it's basically explaining why I set the landmark point for 5 weeks for HPDC and 8 weeks for HPDS. So basically what I wanted to say here is so like therefore something like that, because we calculated the median period until HPD occurred, and it was different depending on its definition. So I applied 2 different time landmark time point for when I analyze HPD defined by Champia and then Sarabuzit. So and I actually brought this word from previous like similar article. So my understanding of applying landmark analysis for survival analysis is to actually exclude the time period until that event happened, and then try to see whether that event has impact on like following, result like progression or death. So I exclude the time periods where the hyperprogression does not occur. That's why I applied for 5 weeks and 8 weeks as a landmark time point for each definition.
So did they do this in other papers?
Mostly Champia and other paper, they just explained they set 2 months as a landmark set point. And then I try to look at their rationale, but then I was not able to find it. And then I found the landmark analysis, the article about landmark analysis. And then from that, I kind of guessed what I have to do. I can actually show you the article that I referred to. Yeah, actually, I'm wondering whether what I did is right, because I'm not sure about this. So
Is this C is Champiat?
yes. I'll bring up the article soon.
So usually the hazard ratio is the way we analyze it, but landmark has to, in my mind, it has to be same landmark for all 3 methods. Otherwise, what are we comparing?
I know, but then if we then the problem is how we can set the landmark, how we can find the appropriate time period. And I've read that it's very important to have that discussion, like what kind of landmark we are going to use for analysis. And basically the first thing that I looked at was how many weeks are needed for hyperprogression to occur, and it was different in both definitions. So Champia, it took on average 5 weeks, and for Sarabuzit, it was 8 weeks. So when I applied 8 weeks for both definitions, the result was none for Champia, because if you exclude the whole 8 weeks period, then there's going to be, and mostly like hyperprogression occurred around the 5 weeks time point for Champia. So it was kind of a little bit tricky. And for so if I can share another, I cannot share it. So for the article written by Champia, actually they applied 2 months for the analysis of hazard ratio. And then, but they didn't explain like how did they end up using 2 months, 8 weeks as a landmark time point.
So it's all clinical. It's just so every paper is different. It's not that cancer has different biology. Cancer biology would be same. It's different methods, different authors, different clinical insight.
Okay.
Our purpose is comparing different methods. So we should not be using different landmark for different methods. I think that's more important. So you have to come up with so clinically, what makes more sense. I mean, we do scans usually at 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 weeks going forward. So 6 months, 1 year. clinically, what's happening. So I would say hyperprogression assessment you can do 6 weeks, 9 weeks. You can the first assessment anywhere in between 6 to 9 weeks is fine clinically,
Got it.
because that's when we do the first scan. The PFS OS landmark could be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. You know, these are the points we look at. So I would say
You recommend me
that makes
to
more sense.
apply the
Yeah.
same. Okay. So, Dr. Shea, if you don't mind, can I just share the Champion article? Just I want to ask your opinion on it. So actually, I found their rationale. So here it says landmark rates were calculated using. Sorry. So as per different protocols, most patients had to be evaluated after 6 to 8 weeks of drug exposure. I mean, drug here would mean immunotherapy.
Yeah,
So
that's what we do
consequently-
in my clinic.
Okay. So consequently, we set the landmark point at 2 months. So I can actually do the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 months is 8 weeks. So
Right. Then I'll do that. But then, okay, yeah, I think I can ask a further question when you look at the actual results, because I have a tricky difficulty when applying a little bit longer landmark, more than 5 weeks for HPDC. So I can ask you about it later if you look at the extra result. So I think we can move on right now. Okay, then I'll apply same landmark for both definition and explain the rationale using clinical background. Yeah,
Sounds
I think
good.
we can. Okay.
Anything else? Do you want me to look at the results too?
Results, it would be different because I have to apply the same landmark for 2 definitions. So I think it's better to show you next time, but at least it would be great if you could look at the result as of now, the actual tables and figures. I'll share.
You're gonna share figures?
Yes, I just upload the link for it.
Okay.
You can see it.
Okay. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Number, characteristic. So let's just do 1 digit after the decimal point.
Okay.
So 46.3. Associated factors of hyperprogression. What does that mean?
I think it's wrong because it's not associated with hyperprogression, most of them. So at least in our data. So yeah, definitely needs to be changed. Patient characteristics and just pathological factors in lung cancer patients, or just clinical and pathological factors in. Look at summary.
Clinical pathological
Yeah.
characteristics of the patients who received immunotherapy containing regimen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chemo containing regimen, chemo not containing regimen. Not containing doesn't make sense. Monoimmunotherapy, not a good wording. Immunotherapy,
Single.
single agent. So maybe we have to describe the two patients, immunotherapy plus non-chemo, but got maybe TKI or something else. So maybe put an asterisk and explain why, like who they are and what they received. Describe that in the result as well as in the footnote, so that people understand the difference.
Okay.
So don't write chemo. It's always chemotherapy. Like this says uni, write nivo ipi. Don't write any abbreviation. Okay.
Got it.
Can't write mono. You can put like numbers here and you know to so that the referencing can be there in the table as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this immunotherapy?
Sorry, I think this should be deleted. So actually the main table is table 3, I think. It shows results depending on each different landmark time points. And I did 8, 6, 10 weeks because I thought at first out of it, and then in the footnote I said that landmark time point was different for Champia, but then I'll apply same 3, 6, 9 weeks for time periods. And if you look at it, mostly because of the small number of hyperprogression that occurred, usually the confidence interval is not complete, but I think it's okay because other papers reported like this as well. At least hazard ratio was statistically meaningful.
Just fairer, where like what is the are you comparing different methods or
Yes, so the whole, maybe the sequence to read this table is depending on each different time points, how was hazard ratio changed or was it similar? And then I summarize hazard ratio depending on two different methods. So first row, Champia, and the second row is about Sarabuzid. So, and basically calculate HR based on HPD group and non-HPD group. So, and then the upper rows are about overall survivor, and then lower part is about progression-free survival. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand why you structured it this way. Why did you put 8, 6, 10 in that
In that order, because like Champia did, I put 8 weeks, at least for Sarabuzid, as a landmark, and I did and I think people call it as a sensitivity analysis to actually modify the landmark time point, having a little bit of gaps and see whether the result is, consistent. So I applied 2 weeks gaps for that 8 weeks. So then I can always change the order, but the original landmark was 8 weeks, and then I modified that into 6 and 10. So that's why I put like this order.
So I'm looking at 6 and 8 group data. The numbers are pretty similar.
Pretty similar, which means like, yeah, results were consistent, and that's what happened pretty in previous article as well. So we can definitely only show them the main results. So I was actually thinking that I have to make it as a supplementary table, but not so sure. So I just made it as a table 3. But if you think it's more suitable for me to have this as a supplementary figure, then that's okay.
So these are all our patients. So the reason why at 10 weeks we don't have scan that got out to 3 weeks, like 110 versus 113, the 3 patients are lacking CT scans.
Yes, because we basically, when we apply 10 weeks as a landmark, then we're gonna lose the patient who are not followed up until 10 weeks. So the longer you applied, the longer the period you applied, definitely the numbers are decreasing. So post-treatment 10 weeks means that we're going to look at the patients only who are followed up even after 10 weeks. So
No, I think the sensitivity analysis is sort of
not necessary.
I mean, you did it anyway, so I would put that as a supplemental figure. So in the order of 6, 8, 10, so that people can see it. For the actual main paper, I would choose only one.
Okay.
Whatever you think has the best result, pick one.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would use one to show difference in the main figure.
Okay.
And that's not 10, because 10 you're losing patients.
Yes.
So
So
either
I mean,
pick 6 or
6
8.
or 3,
Use,
6. No, I'm gonna apply 3, 6, 9 as you recommended, based on these periods are when patients are mostly get CT evaluation. So
okay, then do that. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, probably I'll choose the 3 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still do 3, 6, 9 and for the supplemental altogether.
Okay.
Oh.
And for table 4, I also like modified the format that I saw in other paper like this. This is more like about adjustment, like for confounding factors.
So are you only showing the ones with significant p-value?
Yes, I did that.
So you have to say it in the title.
Oh,
Well, you said associated. Or in the footnote, to say you only pick the ones, but this one's not, I guess.
oh, it became like insignificant when actually we compiled that. So it was significant also for, yeah, for smoker,
Yeah.
it's a little bit tricky. So maybe I can delete it. Because for smokers, I classified them into 3 groups, and
So yeah, so we don't usually do this. We never smoker versus.
do you
So
want me to
wouldn't
change
there
that
be
in?
more? So the reference group is usually the one with larger number. Were there more smokers?
For us,
So I would combine it, either current or former as a reference.
current or former
If
as a
they're
reference.
similar in number, you could do current or former versus. So what does that mean here?
Sorry, could you say that again?
So PFS and OS low hazard ratio is good.
Right. So female like did well.
Much better.
Yes.
Never smoker did worse. Okay. Wow.
I'm sorry, I think I'm a little bit confused here. So female, male, yeah, female did better. And
So you don't need multiple. You need to figure out never smoker versus combine both current or former.
okay, combine it.
So here you're saying there's
But it's tricky to, yeah.
adenocarcinoma
Uh,
had more.
I
So
think
compared
to
to here,
no, it
adeno
just
had
showed that
less.
it's not like head-to-head each group comparison. It's just the ANOVA, I think here what I did. And it can only yield very vague conclusion from this. So histology distribution was different.
How is it
But-
different?
Yeah, but then we have to do like post hoc analysis to actually know about that. But then the numbers are so small for each group, like 424 for hyperprogression patients. So yeah, let me try the post hoc analysis.
Yeah, I think it's just because this has different numbers, then yeah, distribution is a little different.
Yes.
So what's different here? Tumor burden.
So this was added recently. So I noticed the in Champia paper, they compared whether the tumor burden measured by RECIST 101 was correlated with hyperprogression definition. So I applied that samely. And then I calculate, because we already have that number, like the disease burden measured by RECIST 101 at baseline, pre-baseline, and post baseline. So I try to compare whether there's a difference between HPD group and non-HPD group depending on each different definition. And I think this result is pretty what we can expect actually, because for Champia, so basically the results were only significant for Champia definition. You can find that about these 2 lines. And I think it reflects the fact that for Champia, we already consider that this is burden as a form of TGK or TGR. So the tumor burden measured by RECIST 101 was definitely correlated with the Champia definition. But for Sarabuzit, there's no component reflecting that tumor disk burden measured by RECIST 101, so it doesn't show any correlation.
But why pre-baseline? Why is pre-baseline different for?
I
So
actually just,
higher tumor burden,
yes, higher tumor
higher
burden.
tumor
weird-
pre-baseline,
Yes, we're both
more
correlated with the,
baseline, both correlated with hyperprogression.
at least for Champia definition, that's what
Has
data
that
said.
ever been discussed?
For baseline, definitely discussed before, but pre-baseline, not so sure. And the paper that I looked at, they didn't report pre-baseline, but they did report the baseline.
Why do you think that is?
For Champia paper released in 2016, it says like in the results section, it says patients, they analyze patients with a baseline CT scan. So and then like a few patients did not have previous CT scan available. So maybe the reason why they didn't do it.
Now, not the definition, but the biology-wise, why would
Biology-wise,
I mean, I don't think it has
um,
to do anything to do with methodology or
okay.
definition,
Okay.
because we don't
So-
have the on-treatment CT here.
Mhm.
On-treatment CT will show us, but this is just the baseline or pre-baseline CT. This is saying that the larger
Yes.
the tumor, you're likely
Mhm.
to have hyperprogression. And how do you explain that biologically?
Like my guess is I definitely need to dig more evidence, but my just guess is, like hyperprogression is known to be correlated with age and like more like worse prognostic factors, and that would mean like patients with previously having a huge tumor burden, more aggressive tumor, regardless of the treatment they received, that might actually can signify another factor for last chance to, or yeah, like more chance to have hyperprogression. Like just to me, baseline, whether it is baseline or pre-baseline, it reads like they have more uncontrolled or like worse disease burden, like higher tumor burden, I think.
No,
But
I don't know if
weirdly-
you explained it. I think you're just repeating yourself. So, is it heterogeneity? Is it diversity in tumor clone? Is it different in mutation? Is it the large tumors are more immune suppressive? Does it have like different macrophage type 2 composition? I mean, we have to explain it through biology, not just say worst prognosis factor. I mean, it doesn't explain anything. So
yeah,
let's say if you have large tumor, that's EGFR, you give EGFR TKI, it doesn't matter how large the tumor is.
Right. That's true.
The large tumor can respond better. Okay. So it has to be biology. The larger the tumor is, they're more likely to have mutation, they're more likely to have higher heterogeneity. But we know higher heterogeneity may lead to better response to immunotherapy. That is I think the science paper that we had journal club for. Subclonality and immunotherapy response.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
keep reading
understand what
on
you're
big. Like what have other journals? I don't remember. I know one of you showed the risk factor for hyperprogression. Was it you, Eugene, or I can't remember? But in the review paper, I don't know how in depth they got into tumor size and heterogeneity. And this is something that needs to be discussed in depth.
understood.
If it is true. And how many papers, found similar findings as us? Describe that in the discussion. Describe all that in depth in discussion, okay?
Okay.
So explain supplemental table 1, why you made this one.
So for the so I'm not sure whether you remember this or not. So when we discussed the result about a modified definition, I think you mentioned it's important to see whether those who are nearly detected as hyperprogression by the modified definition, whether they have true hyperprogression or like was it really hyperprogression? So Dr. Jian actually followed the patients who are nearly detected by modified definition, and then she confirmed that all of them were true hyperprogression. I think that's the main point of this supplementary table.
So I'm gonna say redefined with considering other new lesions is not the correct grammar. Again, I think I have to come up with a unified way of describing our new methods. Number 1, we did not do survival analysis with new definition. We've decided to look at just the landscape. That what happens if we use our new definition? How would the incidence change? That's it. And then in supplemental figure, I do want you to show that if you use the new definition, would that do a better job of survival prediction? The answer is no, but I think the reviewers would ask. So I think you would want to show that. Number 3. Agree on the terminology, like redefine, considering new lesions. It's all confusing. So you would have to say
Just
something
modify.
because you used HPD CF or I think you would
Right.
have to use our own methods as just use that as M as a modified version. HPDM is modified. So modified version of, and then you define that in the methodology, and you use that so that you don't have to explain every time this is considering new lesions or
Right. Right.
So just just be consistent.
Agree.
So here's a true progression, and where's the modified?
No, these are the patients who detected to have hyperprogression by the modified definition. So it's a kind of describing thing.
What is C?
C means Champia. So
you said this and this. So how do I know what is Champia, what is modified? You understand? It says defined by Champiad and redefined.
Yes, I think actually this is not the title that I wrote, but then my understanding is I should have checked on it, but I think what it means actually is these patients are first they were found to have hyperprogression by the modified version of Champia definition. So actually, basically, because we used like 3 different definitions of each hyperprogression, when we apply modified version for all of them, there will be another modified Champia, modified Sarabuzit, and modified Ferrara. So we only looked at modified Champia. So that's what it should have written.
Okay, so our modified version is just on Champiad, and you can explain that in the methods or discussion that why we did that. The Champiad seemed to be the one is better performing, but it doesn't capture the new lesion, so that's why we made the modified. And are these 7 patients, or what is that, 9 patients that are not captured by classic Champiad, but captured by modified Champiad, correct?
Yes.
Then you have to make that explicit in your title, because that's not explicit. Okay.
I know, yeah.
What is type table 2? Can you explain why you made this?
Just to show, rather than just hyperprogression, I just thought maybe readers are wondering about the purely RECIST like classification of our patients. So I'm sorry, I think I said wrong. This is actually to recalculate how I'm not sure whether we really need it, but how the proportion of patients, per each different category for RECIST is changing when we apply new, like modified definition. So when we include all measurable newly appearing lesion into consideration, what happened to the classification of the RECIST 101, I think that's what we try to show them here. So basically, like when we consider newly detected lesions as well, like progressive disease increased, partial response decreased, stable decreased. So definitely when we consider new lesions as progression, then more patients are detected to have PD. And I think this is reflected on the incidence of our incidence change of the hyperprogression as well.
So let me ask you this. In RECIST 1.1, just having a presence of new lesion is counted as progressive disease. Right?
Yes, that's what I understood. Yes. Then
But why does it increase substantially, 23 to 33, if you add new lesion? I don't understand. Because if you have any new lesion, you're gonna have progressive disease.
no, actually that's not true. We per RECIST 101, any new lesions are considered. I think it should be measurable new lesion. I can definitely have a look at it once more. But I remember that's not true. We can include any newly spotted lesion in, as a progression per RECIST 101. There's definitely some criteria that should be met.
So let me ask you this. Measurable lymph node is 1.5. Non-lymph node target is 1 centimeter. For the new detected lesion, are you adding less than that target lesion into the calculation? Is that what our point? Are we adding like if you find 0.5 centimeter lesion, are you adding it?
No, I don't think we did that. I think we only include the measurable one when we do hyperprogression. And
why is it different then? I don't understand.
Right. I know it's a little it's confusing, but I think I have to look at the way I did calculate it. But regardless of the result, do you think this table is really needed? Maybe we can just.
Well, it depends on the calculation.
Okay. Let me pull up.
So I think impact is low for this table, but I want to know what you actually did and what the number is. But I think what's going to be helpful is what used to be non-hyperprogression turning into hyperprogression. So so those are number 7. I guess not there's 9 cases.
So actually you can look at other things while I'm looking for how I did it. Just Mm, I think I need more time to actually explain what happened there. I found what I did. The way I came up with different numbers is actually I calculated. So basically, when we consider new lesions into consideration, there will be new kind of tumor burden calculated neurally, right? So what I did was actually calculate the proportion of PD, PR, SD by definition of RECIST using that those with those new numbers. So I would say I think I can say that these numbers are produced by the applying the new lesions more quantitatively. So when we detected new, like measurable new lesion, we add them into the the diameter, and then but still it doesn't solve the question. I mean, no matter of the size, whether new lesion is detected, we can consider that as like progression. So I'll just prepare my answer for this table by next time.
Okay. So here, I'll rather focus on table 1 and say case number 1 is HPD fit. Are we using what, Champiat? HPDC, yes or no? HPDM, yes or no? The people would know that they are different.
Okay.
The true,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
got
know what's really true. It's all based on what your definition is. So that they would know, oh, in this case is how these two are different. Okay, and this is just a univariate, I guess.
Yes, so all including like not significant result as well. So
I think because this is supplemental, you can put HPD by modified definition here. And
Okay.
just still use HPDC, HPDS. You don't have to use the whole thing. Once you
Yes,
define a definition, just use it consistently.
I see. Just quick question. Which one do you prefer between these two? A small
What do you
s
mean?
and like HPDS.
Again,
I'm still
that's what
deciding. I did. Yeah, I did this.
You did small s.
Right. Okay, then I'll just.
You know what? It feels like it's plural. So why don't you do HPD dash S capital dash, not underscore?
Dash. Like this?
Yeah. C, and then you have M.
But then for M, Dr. Shea, we can actually modify each different version of the definition. So, but then we assume
No,
that
so you
HPDM
define it. You define it as
define it.
modified is just
For Champiat.
modified is modified from Champiat, period.
Okay.
You just explain it at one time, that's it. Now, just looking at it, maybe put small c in front of HPD. That might look better. No, I'm saying C HPD, S HPD,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying
Okay.
to see what looks better.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it looks
Dr.
better.
Jian, what do you like better?
Mhm.
I like HPD and small c.
HPD and small c?
Yeah, I mean the
A-
initial
after?
version. Yeah.
Initial one, the smaller
Mhm.
one,
Mm-hmm.
because it looks smaller and yeah, let's go with that then. Let's go with the initial one then. HP and
Yeah,
small c.
is
So
it
I
too
do
small?
that's too small. That's under
Yeah, it's
just
on
do
the,
this. Yeah, that one.
okay.
Yeah. Then just do HPD small m.
Do you want me to make it italic or
No,
okay?
yeah. Okay. What is resist 1.1? What is Champion and
Actually,
Sadabuzid?
yes. So this means like original definition, because in original definition we use resist one-on-one version for evaluating, and then we made a modification on that actually. So I expressed that like this, but I think I can change it like original definition and modified version or
Now I see. I see. So now we have this graph. I'm going to have change in plan. So that's going to be get rid of the resist 1.1. So just the original definition and modified definition. Modify. Original definition, modified definition. And you have Champion. So we'll do Champion, C, rather than just M, we're gonna do CM, SM, FM. Okay. So in here, that's what you're gonna do. And in the method, you're gonna explain, CM, SM, FM. Do you understand?
yes, I understood. And are we okay to use like small
Yeah.
f?
Or do you wanna try put dash in between? No, not there.
Here?
Yeah. No, it doesn't look good. HP.
How about putting m in front of it? Modified hyperfunction by something.
Why don't we just write modified HPDC?
Like full.
Well, you can just
It's
do
too long
for
the table. I like the small m in front. So try just small. Yeah, let's just do that. And then in the method, you explain everything, okay, what that is in the method. And because this is a figure, you have to explain that one more time in the footnote as well.
Okay. And yeah. Figure 2, It should be
Okay, give me 1
updated.
second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Take your time.
Okay. Okay. So I like figure 1. Figure 2. So percentage Changes of some of lesions depending on patients with hyperprogression according to different definitions.
So Dr. Shea, I think we need to decide whether we're really going to look at each different definitions for modification, or do you want us to only focus on Champia?
I mean, you made all the figures anyway, so I think it's okay to use it.
Yeah, but then
Actually, for actually for a figure
you can-
2, me and Jion like kind of have suggestion that we make each patient color different, so it's kind of show the progress like from Champia to Champion modified. Like for each sample, the color is different. What do you think about it? Are you still okay with this kind of this figure, or because I'm the one who make this figure before, or do you want to make it like each patient's different color?
I mean, it would be too many colors. I don't. Why do you want to make all different colors?
Because with this figure, actually we couldn't match the which patient changed to the which patient. So so when I was first saw this figure, I totally couldn't understand what does that mean. So maybe other readers too, they can't understand with this figure. Or we can use shapes, triangle, circle, you know what I mean.
I think for this figure 2, we will still have like want to work up with the models, because I mean, this is like the first model that I made, but maybe if there is any modifier, then maybe you can pick up it again, Dr. Che, later. Like you can choose which one. Like, do you think like the model is better, or do you have any idea or suggestion?
I guess I don't understand. Jion, can you explain to me one more? What's the difference between
when I saw
the
this
multicolor, and what's
yes.
now?
Well, I just try to understand. For example, patient number 1. With the original definition, this graph was shown, but with the modified, then it changed the other shape. But in this figure, we can't match who is the figure patient 1, who is a patient 2. How changed?
I see. So I think Dr. Jian and Arnie's suggestion is actually it would be better if we can mark each patient.
Yes.
Yes.
Or color, shape, anything, or a dot.
Yeah, maybe
dot line.
Maybe make that different and show it to me, and so that I understand how it's.
Yeah. I think I would try to make it.
Yeah.
I think I would try to make it today, and I feel maybe if you doesn't want to too much like multicolor, then let's choose like dark color, like dark green, dark blue. I will try with that, so the color doesn't to pop up. Yeah, we will try that.
I see.
The next is
next
how
is
the
just Kaplan.
outcome is different by different definition.
Yes. So I think I should unify the terms here as well. I use dash and underline and C. And so A and B is for Champia. A and B is for HPD and OS, and C and D, HPD and PFS. And E and F is something I newly added. And I just wonder whether there would be difference between HPDC and HPDS. And I try to make a 3 different group, non-HPD, HPDC, and HPDS. And because of the small number, I can't do like one-on-one head-to-head comparison, but then at least the results show that overall it was different. And just looking at the curves of 3 different lines, we can guess impression is HPDC is associated with more worse prognosis than HPDS. So, and the tricky part is HPDC is all met, they all meet the criteria for HPDS. So here HPDS means someone who don't meet HPDC and only meet HPDS criteria. So
Okay, let's talk about this more and figure out a better way to present this. And because we did, at least for modified Champiat, you can draw
No.
overall survival PFS for the supplemental figure, okay?
Okay, got it. Only for Champia? You don't want me to do for Sarabandit, right?
I think it's just too much. I think it's supplemental, so you can do it. You can do it, yeah. You can do both overall survival, progression-free survival, modified version. Okay, I gotta leave, but let's keep in touch.
Okay.
All right. I will
Thank you
stop
for all the
recording.
time and
Thank you, Dr. Che.